Hello, my friends. Welcome to Life Expansion. I'm Jason Stephenson, and thank you for your presence today. And this is Life Expansion for those of you that haven't joined me before. And today I will be spending time, I've already pre-recorded the interview, but of course I like to check in live with you guys. And I'll be spending time with Rachel Marie and Clint Proud. These are two amazing souls that are truly have been living the law of attraction and putting it into place. They're also doTERRA essential oil diamond leaders, and they're probably right now traveling, they are traveling somewhere around Australia. So before I do that, I want to cross now to the live chat, and I just want to ask you, first of all, if you guys can hear everything okay. I can only depend on this. I don't have any support at the moment, so I'll say hello to all of you at the moment. So I've got hello Mercedes and Adele and Livy, welcome, lovely to see you guys, and Barbara, hello, Garrison, hello, how you going, mate? And Robin, hi Robin, Bill Music, g'day mate, greetings to you, and Tanya, welcome. Very excited today. These guys are truly, as I said, they're truly living the law of attraction, and you can hear everything. Great, perfect. It's all going to plan. Perfect. These guys are really living the law of attraction. They have their dream life, and they've created that, and that hasn't been handed to them on a plate by any means. They had that vision a number of years ago. They stuck to that vision. And they took risks. They had to jump in from the, I don't know, just, I'm tongue-tied at the moment. They just jumped out and they just did it. And it's such a joy, and you'll know what I mean when I talk to them. You'll hear exactly where I come from. Can you hear my background music? Fantastic. I'm glad you can hear it. This music is actually Christopher Lloyd Clark. He does compose some beautiful music, so glad you like that. Hi Tracy, welcome. Hello Celine. Lovely to see you guys. So I'll just bring up my notes. Just make sure that first of all guys, before I go on and talk a little bit more about Clint and Rachel, I want to explain what's happening with me currently at the moment. I'm off to Tokyo on Monday. I've never been to Japan, so it's going to be a real adventure for me. I've been invited along with another 99 other YouTube creators to attend the Creator Summit conference, YouTube conference in Tokyo. So that's happening for a week, all of next week. So what I hope to do is to maybe drop in and do some live streams. I can't promise, I'm not going to overpromise because I will be attending conferences, but I certainly would love to just talk to you guys. So whether that be on this YouTube or whether it be on my Facebook page, I probably might have to do it on YouTube, hey, seeing that I'm attending a YouTube conference. It might be in my best interest that I do it on YouTube. So we'll be doing that. And daughter's Barbara's from Japan, or lives in Japan. Wow, interesting. Oh wow. So I've never been there before, so I'm really looking forward to it. As always, I get a little, before I go overseas, I always have this little tiny bit of anxiety, but nothing that some meditation won't help fix, which I've been doing meditation now quite a lot lately. Life's been pretty busy here, and meditation is my savior, to be honest. It's probably the one thing that keeps me sane in my life, and very blessed for that. So let's get on. Where in Japan am I going? I'm only going to Tokyo, and I'm going to do a day trip. I really want to be there for Hiroshima. Always get that pronunciation. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I really want to go there. So I'm going to take a trip on the bullet train. That's another thing that I'm quite excited about. So yeah. So we'll be there. Then I come back. Then the following week, I'm going to be interviewing he's a great mate of mine as well. It's Lute Brian Smith, who's an inspirational songwriter. and I really wanted to tap into to find out what inspires him and what makes him tick, and to come up with these amazing affirmation songs. Barbara, you want to hear about my studies? Well, you're probably not going to hear about my studies, Barbara, and the only reason being I'm not studying. Due to the workload that I've had this year, I've deferred until 2020. And even then, with things that I'm planning ahead, I may not even get to go next year. So I'm really like this open book. And yes, I've booked in. Yes, I've been accepted. It's going to be I'm just waiting for things as they unfold, and I'm very, very flexible with that. I'm very flexible. I realized that if I truly wanted to commit to that, to commit to those studies, I saw the workload. The workload was huge, and basically, and that's even part-time, because they do intensive studies. They do intense subjects at an intense level for 8 weeks. And so I realized I would have had to take literally 8 weeks off work to get the work out. And I just could not do that this time. It was a choice. I had to make a choice. So I've left that for now. But I'm more than willing to come back to that. And yeah, I just go with the flow. So I'm just reading some of the comments here. Well, Garrison says, in the future I will travel your way, Jason. I would be very moved if you invite me to one of your live shows. Well, who knows, Garrison? I may very well see you. I might even see you in your country. I do plan to do tours, and the tours start next year. So in 2020, that's been my vision. And that's something I'm making become a reality. And it's not without... it's new for me, so it's putting myself out there. And as Rachel says in this video clip, you'll see this video clip of Rachel and Clint, and they speak about, I love this quote. I think I've written it down here. If you want to live the best life possible, then you must be willing to get uncomfortable. And I do want to live the best life possible, and so I'm prepared to be a little uncomfortable with that. And what happens when we're uncomfortable at first? Then that becomes okay. So it's just continually to grow and expand. And I think that's what really life is about. We really can't stop growing, hey? That's what we are. We're human beings that grow. So guys, without further ado, I'm going to switch over to this interview. It's only 34 minutes long, and I'll be back at the end of this to have a chat with you guys. I know that you're going to love this, and these two are such beautiful, inspiring people. So I hand it over to the interview with Rachel Marie and Clinton Proud. Enjoy. Hey, Rachel and Clint, welcome to Life Expansion.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And, I really wanted you guys to come on board today because you guys are inspiring me. I believe like you're living on the edge of life, and so many of us get locked down into the regular, mundane living. And I'm not against that in any way, but you guys are really living dare I say it, you're living the dream. I mean, you've got an online business that you go around Australia in, you're traveling full time. Does it get any better than this, than what you're doing?
No, not for us. This has been every single morning I wake up and I smile first, and we wake up slowly is our rule, because we spent so many years opening our eyes thinking, oh, now I've got to do this or got to do that. And nowadays we get to do things that we want to do. So we count our blessings daily. Yeah.
So how was this? Like, how did this change come about for both of you? Rachel, I know it was different stages, wasn't it, where it come about?
It was, I think, at the core of it all, like on a really personal level, on something I think that I don't really talk about it as much as I should, really, because I think it's what will relate to most people, and that's that morning heaviness where your eyes open and the career you're in, or just the life, literally the pace of your life is suffocating, but you do it anyway, and you exist anyway because you truly don't believe that there's any other kind of living. Like, this is life.
Yeah.
And I was very much living in a pace where I was glorifying busy massively, like it was a badge of honor. So I was running a preschool and studying personal training, running photography, and the part that started to really get to my heart, I guess, was my morning, when my eyes would open and I'd say to myself, just have a few breaths before you get out of bed. I started to hear certain things in our street. So, Windang, of course.
Yes.
So I started to hear next door hosing the windscreen of his car at precisely 5:15 in the morning. And I started to hear the dog bark at exactly the same time, the bird chirp. That person leave to the gym, they'd get home, their kid would leave, she'd call out. It was literally like I was stuck in a life that was suffocating me. And not that there was anything wrong with the people. It was my observations of, this can't be it. So that was very early on for me. I thought, this cannot be it. And then on the flip side, obviously, I said to Clinton, he could feel that around that time in our lives. And I said, something's got to give here, and we're going to have to come up with a dream together. Yeah. And whenever we have an inkling, like 2 minutes spare in our day, if we're both thinking of and envisioning the same thing, we'll just hope it comes to life. Like, that was a very early on goal. Yeah. And
wow. So
we didn't actually know much about manifesting and things like that then, but it was the only thing
doing it.
Hope. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, and for us, like that's the thing. Like, it was a little bit different in terms of us coming into this current business together and things like that.
Yeah.
But I guess us as partners in a relationship, that's, we've always held the same values and those same sort of those dreams and wishes for what we wanted in our life, and that's what we held tighter than anything else. So when we sort of set out to do this and live this way, it's all we aimed for, and it's all we made happen. There was no other way for us.
It was a tunnel vision of recognizing what our life was like at the time, with Clint's career in the police force and rarely home, and me being busy as ever, to believing what was possible. And what was possible for us was somehow we were going to get in a caravan and take off around the country, and we were going to make it possible. So yeah.
And so you wanted to go around Australia. That was a dream, to go around Australia, in the van.
Yes.
Did you believe that you would be doing the work that you're doing now and working as you go around?
Oh, absolutely not. I actually pictured, random things like, Clint had his RSA from years ago, and I thought, I'll just make him work at random pubs. And I was always putting him to work. It was never myself.
I was thinking, I'll pull up for a few weeks, do some painting, and earn a few $100s, and then
we were sort of
move on.
One of the interesting things were, we weren't looking. We were understanding it was going to come at a cost, or we were okay with the fact it would be a sacrifice in many ways of the lifestyle that we had, but we were so ready to shed the layers of stuff. Like, it was just, it was liberating in itself to think we won't have a house to look after, we won't have, lawns to mow, we won't have the pressure of appearances, keeping up with, what's the saying? Keeping up appearances, the Joneses, and there were times in my life where we all are tricked into the illusion of more stuff, more things equals more success equals more happiness.
Yes.
So I think once we cottoned on to the fact that, we started researching and looking at what it looked like for other families, we saw that, worst case scenario, I love baked beans. So, we could live off them. As long as the kids had food and water and shelter, we're still blessed.
Yes.
And we really thought everything in life. I go, worst case scenario, what will it look like? And even if it was just a six month bender with, minimal luxuries, we were still going to do it. But
it was making it a reality. Definitely. We
Yeah.
sort of just, and that was the thing, we kind of just grabbed all the plans and all our dreams and sort of visions and threw them out there to the universe and sort of just, however they fell back down.
It was
Yeah.
as ridiculous as our vision
Yeah.
board that just came to mind. My vision
Yeah.
board is I actually printed off our bank statement, which was horrendous at the time,
Yes.
and it was our mortgage statement, and I scribbled it out and I wrote zero balance on it because I was like, nah, not going to have that. So zero balance, put it in, it was above my bin. It was the only space in our whole house was my pretty vision board. On that, we had a picture of a van. Then we had words about how we would feel. And then we made a promise that at least once a day we'd envision what that will look like. And then we got the boys involved. So what do you think it's going to feel like when you don't have to wake up and go to school? And that I'm like, so it was just this, and even while we were imagining or I guess manifesting that space, it was joyful because we were taking time out of this rat race to believe in there was something more and something greater. So
that is, you guys were like living, even though you might not have been deliberately doing a lot of it, but you were living the law of attraction.
Yeah.
That's what we laugh at now. It's quite ironic. Like we've only just sort of started, I guess, that ripple effect of you attract, we energetically those people and those lessons, and they come in by the way of people recommending books or podcasts and things like that. And we're like, oh yeah, well, we were unintentionally doing a really good job of that.
Yeah. And you look back at all the synchronicities between, we're in a space where we need to get a car. What kind of car are we going to get? Well, what are we going to do? Are we going to tow a caravan? Are we going to tow a camper? Or are we going to be in a van? And, all things sort of fell into place. And then,
everything.
I'd be spending lunch at work buying the latest caravan and camping magazine and looking through, just thinking, what is going to jump out at me and what are we going to end up with? And then, initially a caravan came out of nowhere, from family, and it all just fell together, and it led us to where we are,
So it's like just making that, or holding on to that vision and that belief, and things just started to go dum, dum, like the dominoes just falling in place.
Yeah. And I still have to pinch myself, it's hard because we get a lot of people in our lives, like we meet a lot of incredible people, and we're literally, I know the universe is sending people our way for us to learn from and for them to go learn from us on our daily travels. Our neighbours are different every 3 days,
Yes. Yes.
But I think at the same token, knowing that we weren't lucky, and I think that word is thrown around to us a lot. Oh, you're so lucky to live that life, and it makes a little part of my heart heavy because I think it doesn't come down. Everyone has this ability. Everyone has the ability to decide without a shadow of doubt that is where they're headed, and trust the process of it coming to fruition. And when people say it's, you're so lucky, we didn't win this life at all. And we've both built and we had previous careers and businesses, and we both made peace with the greatest elements of those. And when doTERRA, they're still all a part. Like I believe every career you've ever had, every job you've ever had, is part of who you are.
They're all that stepping stone.
And your growth and story. But when I was running the preschool and life was chaotic and I was introduced to these essential oils, I didn't see straight away the possibility of this being the way that we could earn an income and bring it all to life, like put all those pieces of the puzzle together. But I had the hope instilled in us that, we had been handed the greatest gift of health and of well-being and of emotion. We were emotionally sound at the time and able to even more so create the life of our dreams. But clearly.
To be of service, that's what we kind of, all our previous careers led around that, with everything with her and her childcare and all the families, and, wedding photography was, you were, the most service-driven wedding photographer ever, trying to please everybody and everything. And, the police force is the same. It was very much, you're there for, the greater good stuff. And that's what this, our essential oils and the business we run now provides us, that exact same platform. We can be of service just in an entirely new element, and and an element of our own, our own creation. We're not sort of confined to what we could achieve in those past roles with those titles.
Beautiful.
Create our own now.
So you're in doTERRA. You're involved in doTERRA.
Yeah.
And so, Clint, how was it for you to come from the force, being a detective, into the oils?
Yeah.
How
was that change?
Yeah, well, it was incredible, because it was like
it was incredible to watch.
Yeah, because I mean, I was in the police for 8 years, and essential oils, they've been a part of our life for the best sort of 4.5, 5 years. So they sort of came in a period of time where, initially it was very sort of standoffish, as everyone is. There's that skeptic around what they do and what they bring, and over time I saw the impact they made on our family and the impact they made on Rachel herself, and then the lives around us, that everyone that received the oils would come running back. And at that time, there was no intention of ever building a business like this that we have today. But the initial service aspect was there. And when it was given out, people received it well. And they would often come back saying, I need to get some more of that stuff. And so for me, I slowly sort of came to terms with using the oils, I guess, personally, in certain ways. And especially, the emotional aspect. Obviously, in the police force, there's a lot of stuff that you can sort of carry a little heavy. Yeah. But I found some release, in the ability to use them as a tool to help me, to work through some things and to, come to terms with whatever was going on for me in that time. And and then eventually, we always had this dream of doing this. So for me, the police force was, I guess it was a great career. It was a secure career, and it was, it ticked all the boxes for me as a, wanting to achieve and could keep, progressing wherever I wanted to. But it was always just a stepping stone for me to do what we want to do in our life, with our own dreams and business. So the decision to leave it all behind was a tough one, but it was definitely, it was a no-brainer when it came down to it, because we have absolutely everything we worked for and we set out for right here, and I can still do all the things I ever wanted to set out with in my life right now. So
yes,
it was definitely seen as crazy, like within the force.
I was going to say the proudest moment for me was the day he asked me to fill him a little. We have keychains, like the real essential oils addicts have keychains. The little tiny vials that, our kids have them when they go for sleepovers and they go to school, or, they're empowered in the moment. So Clint's like, I think I need one of those for work, because he was filling his suit pockets with 15 ml bottles of oils and he's rattling. And I was like, dude, we've got to just condense your routine down. But it's funny because the comments and the people, there was a couple of blokes in his office that lent towards, oils for sleeping and oils in them, and they started to appear within the office and on their, it was becoming, and that's kind of the exact reason we do it, because it's like bridging this gap of something that's so not masculine apparently to something that's so okay to address. I'm not really coping right now. I need to anchor myself before my mind takes me somewhere else.
Reset.
And I remember Clint came home and he goes, they don't believe me. They don't believe that I'm going to put in leave. We've put it on the vision board the 28th of September. They don't believe I'm going. And I was like, it'll be really funny the day that you put in your leave. And that day was
from the initial onset of this is my dream, and the magazines are out, and I don't know what I'm going to pick. Are we going to do the can?
They're just like,
when
you're
verbalizing it all to help yourself make the decision, to really work out what you want. And the banter around the office in the detective's office
I can imagine
environment. Oh, that's so much fun.
You could just see, as I'm speaking all this stuff, I could just see the looks on the faces like, you're bloody crazy. I can't believe you got to do this, But then, as time went on, I moved into another office, and it started getting serious. It started becoming, a definite thing. This is happening for us. From this date, I'm more than likely going to not be here anymore, So, and the team I was in at the moment were incredible, and they were just,
It's still our family.
100%, but they were just you know, you go do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
This will always be here. It's always a family first thing, and I was
Fantastic.
so supportive. Yeah, so it was,
Fantastic.
to answer the question, it was really simple to transform to this life. That's for sure. But
Mm.
some great
Wow.
friends in my old life.
Yeah, absolute life changing, like life
Yeah.
changing for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So whereabouts are you right now in Australia? Now you've got that map behind you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you just point out like where, I don't even know where you are.
So
I don't know either, Jace.
Yeah,
I'm living in the
she
moment.
never knows. So we're obviously that was Wollongong where we're from,
Can you
Mhm.
see
and then
that?
up
Yeah.
to we're just sort of north of Newcastle in Stockton Beach at the moment. So we
Okay.
had to go home in May for some like a work commitment around the convention.
The dark lines is where we've been.
Yeah,
So
we've kind of been up
we've been right the way around
right
and
around.
done a few inland trips. But this year is Northern Territory up to Darwin and down the centre together. So
Yeah,
Oh,
but we can
from
get
July.
thrown off course by at anything. Like we literally flip a coin and go this road or that road, and we
that's
follow it.
beautiful.
We were
So-
supposed to do this trip last year, but then when we got to Catherine, we're like, no, we'll go to the west
Yeah, we
coast.
turned it
And
around and
we just hit the WA, you know, coastline and came down for 3.5 months. It was beautiful.
So you've got three boys.
Yeah.
Who they I've just gone blank. Jet,
Yeah.
Lenny,
Jet,
and
Leon,
Ned.
and Ned. Yeah.
So how do they go with all the traveling?
Yeah, it's really interesting because if we ever wanted to stop, they would most certainly be very unhappy with us. But they love it more than we do. I think, you know, obviously children are what I'm most passionate about and with my careers in the past. But particularly with them, that same world I was living in and that same reality of that Groundhog Day over and over again, I knew I wasn't being my best self, and I certainly wasn't being the best mum I could be for our boys. At the time, I just had Leon, and Jet was with us, and he was like 4 or whatever. But I think because this creation, they helped us create this by our joy and our dreaming and our constant talking about it. So it wasn't a surprise. It wasn't like, hey guys, I know you settled in normal life, but we're just going to rip you out for our own selfish, you know, agenda. And it was never just so foreign. They were involved at every step. And I think now, and they're the reason. I think, you know, I mentioned a few times on a few talks that we've done when I sat in the classroom and did parent helping in all my spare time, and I watched strangers. They weren't my boys in the classroom, and it was actually, for me, I was like, I knew what they would do in that situation or what they would normally have said, but they were toning it down and turning them down or their charisma down, and in most cases not saying anything at all. Not Leon, but our oldest one, Jet. You know, and I thought, I want more for you. I don't want the world to tell you who you are, in a way. And I always wanted to homeschool the boys. So this lifestyle and the fact that, you know, we address it on a daily basis, you know, where do you want to go to next? They're a huge part of the daily creation of what we live.
Beautiful.
But also if they turned around tomorrow and said, Mum, we're done, you know, can we go home and homeschool? And so absolutely we would consider it, because, you know, if it's for a reason that was true to their heart, you know, as their parents, we want what's best for them. But at this point in their lives, Jet's like, their personalities have blossomed, their confidence, their social skills. And I know that both of them, all of them, like Ned especially, he's only 2, but they're here to change the world in their own way. And it's there's no volumes turned down on them. There's all of them are here. They're in so many ways. Some nights it's a little bit too much here because they're so loud.
It's a small caravan.
But at the same token, we know that they're not questioning who they are. They don't have society, you know, dictating what they do say, or, you know.
There's no one confining their spirit.
At all.
They're full on.
Yeah. I'm excited for them. Like we watch them, literally observe them is, you know, a huge part of our day. Clint actually said about Ned, he said, oh, you know, he's babbling more, he's talking and gibbering. And I said, the other boys were like that too, Dal, but you were always at work.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a really sad moment. But he actually, that age of 2, 3, 4, where they're becoming someone or becoming themselves.
Yes, yes.
You know, and that was a huge reality check. How amazing is this, that, you know, Ned has this full-time experience with you. So
and that's what one of the best things I've taken out of this was our 2 older boys I never got to raise. You know, I never got to see much of them at all up until like Jet was 2 when I went into the police force, and Leon was born when I was just out of the academy, and like I didn't get the opportunity to do what I get to do now. So I'm blessed, like so thankful for having Ned so late on, like in our time, like he's, you know, 4 or 5 years behind Leon, and now I get to see the same love from him that he gives Rachel when he comes running at me, and when he sees me, or when I leave, it's the same sadness. It's not always, it's always mum, and, you know, I'd just be I don't know, some kind of fill-in, like a babysitter for the other guys, you know.
Sure.
It's fun. I get to experience 100% of being a father, so it's awesome.
Wow. So good. So good. Do you ever feel like there's times when you get like frustrated with even with being on the road, or moments of whether there's no internet or something goes wrong, or and how, if you do you get those moments, and how do you deal with them if you do get those moments?
Absolutely. And we have the most amazing sense of humor, and our boys have developed the most, you know, not tooting our own horn, but you have to develop the ability to laugh at yourself and with the others, and just deal with that. I think one of the elements of living in such close proximity for so long, like it's been over 2 years, we've had times where we've stopped and gone back to our home for 2 or 3 weeks or whatnot, but for and we miss being in confined spaces. It's this odd thing.
Wow. They didn't
go anywhere. They were still in our room, and I was like, dude, there's other room, like go. But we're all on top of each other always. So it's but one of the things I love, and one of the reasons whenever we get people messaging us, I say, just do it. Just do it for, if you can afford to leave for 2 months or 3 months, just go. Because you become closer than, you know, at times you even can fathom. But then everything is dealt with. And and the good, the bad, and the ugly is there for all to see. So we can't have a conversation without obviously an input from a 2-year-old, an 8-year-old, or an 11-year-old's opinion. But there's also times where we're not coping, or we have a moment, or where I'm frustrated, and what it's allowed us to do for each other is address it then and there. So there's no go to work, don't speak for 6 hours, play the not talk game. It's like, you're here and I'm here, and so there might be a good go for a walk for half an hour. Like, I mean, we don't often fight in that way, but there's frustrations or times of stress or business or whatever. And it's been really interesting to me that emotional health is such a normal topic in this caravan, and even up until the other day we had a lesson on remorse, because I'd had a mummy meltdown, and my mummy meltdowns are just me being very short and dismissive because I'm impatient, and I was feeling a bit anxious about something, and they're usually passing my oils, like, come on, mum, like, you know, have a moment, peg them, they hurt, you know,
Beautiful.
But it's funny because it's such a common, it's okay to address, and even my boys will call me on it, I'm able to call them on it, but what we can do is put a word to it. So I think it's all good to feel an emotion, but if they can't isolate what that emotion is, it can be the undoing of any growth. And like, we talk about what the emotion is, you're showing compassion right now, and I really appreciate that. Or maybe mummy should be showing you more compassion, you know, or remorse was another one. They didn't know what that meant. And I was like, wow, that's super interesting that you know, these are things that will help you in your life. So let's talk about remorse. So living so closely, I highly doubt if we were back in our old house and we're in our fast-paced worlds that I would ever find time to go that deep with them. There's
always that. There might be the initial, like, you know, whatever it is that sort of blows up in that time, and, you know, you lose your patience and things like that, but there's always opportunity to come back and discuss it because you've got nowhere else to go. You always, you can come back in and you know, 5-10 minutes later go, you know what, I'm sorry for that. You know, there's always opportunity for them to see us in our realness, and they get to experience two adults acting like adults, you know, and
yes,
well, maybe not like most adults sometimes, but we get to stop and, you know, we deal with things. We actually openly discuss things and have a resolution, and, you know, and the kids see that, they pick it up, and, you know, hopefully they're learning lessons from what we do. So
it's like you are all, the whole family are in this non-stop education environment, like a natural education environment that everyone is learning from each other, you know, for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
Kind of like a science experiment, like we're the lab rats. I think some days I feel like that. I feel like there's cameras and I'm like in the Truman Show and I'm like, all right, where is that door? Because I want out.
Follow the sun.
So if just one final question, if someone said, you know, I want to do this, but I have this commitment, I have that commitment, I'm too scared, and they're making excuses. And what would you say to give them one step to help them to move beyond that?
Well, I usually, and I say it time and time again, in our daily life, we have people asking us that quite regularly from two separate worlds, one from our travel page that we have and one from our business. So people, and then some that want to combine the two and literally live the lifestyle we have, a traveling business. But for anyone that is desiring or has a yearning to make their life so different than what it currently is, stop looking at all the reasons why you can't and find one reason why you can and you must. And for me, that one reason was my children and my own sanity and his mental health and our future as a family together. So I focused on the one reason I can and should and must do this. And that was our manifestation. That's what we weren't exactly entirely sure how it was going to come about. But that's the advice I always give, because it's so easy to look at all the reasons why not. Like, it's actually second nature. It's natural and accepted. Like I say, I started to pay attention, even now I still do. If I say, how are you, to someone, and they tell me before saying good thanks or I'm well thanks or whatever, that I've got this on and that on, I've got this on, and it's just this constant verbal regurgitation of stress. That's so heavy, because I once was that, and I remember how that feels. You know, and now in our daily business, I say, well, what would it look like if all of that wasn't there? Like, how will you feel if you had no fear, if you stopped overanalyzing everything? How do you think that would feel? And just bring them back to wanting that goodness.
It's the story as well. You know, so many people get addicted to their story, and their story is something they can speak about confidently, because it's what they're living. You know, and they, you know, before you know it, your story's blowing out. And if you have a negative outlook on life or a positive outlook on life, you know, if you're negative, your story is going to relate that way, and it's going to, you know. Well,
the stereotype of your career was a good example. Like, there's so many people, when Clint first decided, stereotypes do my head in. But they're like, oh, your husband's a police officer. Oh, you're going to get divorced. Like, literally, so many people said that to me, and I was like, wow, thank you for that insight. Like, that's incredible. But it actually was something so readily given. That advice was so commonly accepted. Not okay. That is not okay. And most of the time, if we listen to the story we're telling ourselves as to why we can't, call yourself on the BS and say, well, you know what? Like, I can change that. Like, if I really think about it, I'm just telling myself that because it's safe, you know, and we have these conversations quite regularly. Because you need those friends in your life that we all have, or that one person that won't settle for when we're playing small, and that will call us on it. We'll go to that person and say, tell me the truth. This is what I want, and I want you to call me on what I'm basically just how I'm playing small. And it's super interesting. Be prepared, to, you know, have that wound opened.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is to read out to everyone a post that I saw on one of your social media gigs, and I think it sums up you guys and where you're at right now. So I'd just like to end with this, but before I do that, I just want to say, you know, thank you so much, guys. You're inspiring. You've manifested this beautiful life now, and this hasn't been handed to you, and you still have to work at it. But what you are prepared to do is be of service. And I think that this is the reason why you're here, because you've had gratitude for even the times before all of this. You've had gratitude. And I think that gratitude brings in so much more. And I thank you for being, just for being you, you know, and inspiring.
Don't make me cry, Jace.
Yeah. Well, as I read this out,
I love you.
Yeah, love you. So you wrote this one many years ago. I've just got to get this clear on my screen here. Actually, I'm going to read it from the paper. Okay, this is better. So your purpose is the reason you will never quit doing what you love. Your purpose is the pathway to your legacy, that lesson that will outlive your time on this earth. The greatest thing of all, your purpose is not some shiny, distant prize that only a lucky few come across in this lifetime. It is innate. It is a part of you already. If you are serious about living your best life, you must be willing to get uncomfortable. Take the time to ask yourself these questions. Am I truly happy? Am I making excuses to justify playing life safe? If I could be anything, what would I be? What am I most afraid of? Am I sharing the best of me with the ones I love? What have I got to lose? By taking the leap back to self-love, self-awareness, and self-acceptance, you can dramatically shift the course of your life for the better. When you know who you are and what your purpose is, you have a protective armor like no other. I love that piece. My purpose, helping people decipher the bullshit, that grand illusion in life, that happiness and success look a certain way. It is your way. Full stop, no returns. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And could I just say, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yeah, pretty much on our website.
Here in
on our website, ourhealthhaven.com, or Facebook, Holistic Health Haven. So either email us from those platforms and we can get in touch. And, you know, everyone that's supposed to walk this journey with us, or we learn from the people around us. So, you know, we'd be blessed to have connections through this. And we are so honoured to be here with you in this moment right now. And my heart is full. So thank you.
It's wonderful. And I wish you continued safe travels and beautiful travels, and travels filled with lots of love and joy.
Thanks, Jay. We love you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye. Aren't they just two amazingly beautiful people? I've watched that interview about 4 times now, and every time I watch it, I get a lot out of it. So I'll ask you, how was it for you guys, and did you guys get anything out of that? Like even one thing that rang true for you, or something that you might reflect on? I've got like a list of things here that really inspired me. I think the biggest one that inspired me was stop looking at all the reasons why you can't and find one reason why you can. And that was what Rachel said. And also that if ever you are willing to live the best, if you want to live the best life possible, you must be willing to get uncomfortable. I love that one too. Yeah, hope you can watch that, Nell, and glad that you enjoyed it. they're two delightful people. I've known them for some time now, and I don't get to see them much because, of course they're traveling around the country, but two amazing, inspiring people that are really just living their life from an authentic place, from their heart. And I have no doubt their children are just going to be world beaters, that they're just going to be filled with so much coming from a family of love. So I think the kids are going to do very well in life. Yeah. Oh, sure, Nell. Watch it tomorrow. Yeah, you enjoyed it, Bonnie? Great stuff. And Christian from Meditation Vacation says, the one thing I got was being observant of other people. Yeah. I love how in reflection of that, Rachel said, that because they're so close together, there's no escaping when topics are brought up. They can't run and hide, and they have to deal with those things. And so then they dive in deep into those, into the emotions. And I really like that. And Barbara says, what I got out of it was go for it. Live your best life. We all have that chance. What's holding us back? Too true. Exactly. I think, and as Rach said, you can think of many different excuse after excuse of why things can't work. It's so easy to do that. I could have excuses galore. I sometimes still do. But listening to these guys, they just said just one thing. Just find one, focus on one thing to move forward. And that was like, yes, that's the way to do it. Just one step at a time, Yeah, and Clint changed his job from being a policeman, Tracy. And what a huge transformation from being a detective to traveling the country and using the essential oils. But interestingly enough, isn't it funny how the essential oils were introduced into his life to help him to deal with stress and different varying emotions in the job, and just the acceptance of that paved a way for a new adventure with his partner Rachel. So yeah, I love that. Well, I hope that you can get to watch the replay, Tanya. And I hope that you have a great time at your sister's wedding too. And yes, Bonnie. Bonnie says, I'm the only one holding myself back. Yeah. And Christian says, meditation vacation. Off the back of that, confronting things is the only way forward. It stops excuses, creates the first small step to something more positive. Hear. And sometimes, Christian, and I'm sure you know only too well, that confrontation is quite often, it's not the easiest thing. But I'll tell you what, once we do that, once we can begin to confront things head on, that is the only way. That is the only way forward. That is the only way we can, it's like smash through that, to the other side. There's no getting around it without confronting things, I agree, Barbara, that they don't get, police officers don't get paid enough for the work they do. I totally agree with that in regards to all the emergency services, and they do very, very difficult work, and they deserve all the money in the world. All the money. So, as I said, guys, what I'll be doing next week is I'm going to Tokyo, and I think I'm going to be doing some live videos, some just impromptu live videos that you might not even I might not even get to advertise much. They may just spring up at any time. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants for the week of next week, and I believe I'm going to be touching base, and I'll certainly be putting up some photos on my Facebook page. If you haven't seen my Facebook page, it's Jason Stephenson Meditation. If you look up Jason Stephenson Meditation, you'll find that. And also, if you want to contact Rachel and Clint, here's their details again here. They're also on Facebook as well, which I think is in the description down below. And yeah, Adele says, got to push through all that negative to get to the positive. It's the only way. It's the only way is through. The only way out is through. Two amazing people. Thank you very much, Rachel and Clint. If you're watching this now, whenever you are watching this, thank you very much. I love you guys dearly. I just respect all that you're doing and all that you are, and the service that you're giving to all the people that you met, and spreading joy and spreading hope and giving people the encouragement to take that step, to go to that next step further. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was an honor to interview you. So my dear friends, on that note, I leave you, and I won't be here at the regular time next week. The following week I will be interviewing Lute Brian Smith, so I hope you can be there for that. But I may get to see you during the week, next week, from Tokyo at any point in time. Let's just see how it goes. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy things going on in Tokyo. I'm sure of it. God bless you. Thanks for joining, guys, and I send you, as always, all the love in the world. I was going to show you my dog Dharma, but he's covered up in the blanket down there, so but I know he sends his love too. Thanks, guys. God bless you all. Bye for now.